Keeping America safe from terrorism is a constant concern, but House Speaker Paul Ryan says he has a blueprint for our protection. Ryan's national security agenda focusing on stronger border control and overhauling the immigration system. All right, joining me now is Fox News military analyst and retired U.S. Army Major General Bob Scales. General, I don't know if you had a chance to look at this proposal. It's called A Better Way, Our Vision for a Confident America. That's excellent. To me, it seems to, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but it seems like, you know, something that Captain Obvious would put out. Keep terrorists out of America, secure our borders, stop cyber attacks, defeat the terrorists. I mean, there's nothing groundbreaking I can see in here. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I thought it was excellent, Ashley. And the reason I say that is because what Mr. Ryan did is he sort of rounded off the edges of Donald Trump's rather sharp views on national security, and he did several things that I think, or said several things that needed to be said. First of all, let's name our enemies, let's name our friends, and most importantly, let's treat this as a global, not just a war against ISIS, a domestic as well as foreign. And finally, and I think most importantly, Mr. Ryan opened the door for the possible use of American military forces actively in the fight against global terrorism, specifically against ISIS in the Middle East. And I believe even if we don't use military force, the mere threat of being able to use it changes the whole complexion of the war against ISIS.
But, General, if we do use it, one of the points that's made in this blueprint, if you like, it says that, you know, we need to build a 21st century military. He makes the argument that, you know, funding cuts has put us at levels pre-9/11. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. If there's a shortcoming in the speech, Ashley, is that he didn't mention numbers, but he did mention this. He did mention the state of the military and our decline, but he also talked about a military that needs to be restructured for the 21st century. I mean, right now, our military commands, the way we organize ourselves, our higher level staffs are still just sort of like residuals from the old Cold War military, and he's arguing that we ought to restructure it to face the real threat to the United States, which is global terrorism.
He also makes the point, and I think we all know this, that America has essentially been leading from behind, exhibiting, one could argue patience, but others could argue, you know, just basically turning a blind eye. That has to change, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the psychological tone of the speech was really, really good. I think he absolutely hammered home the idea that it's time for America to lead. His point is that nobody outside the United States is going to take on global terrorism with any enthusiasm unless the United States leads from the front, and by focusing on the possible commitment of large-scale military forces should the need arise, Mr. Ryan is saying we're moving into an entirely new era where the United States is, shall we say, the first among equals, Ashley.
Exactly. I've got to ask you this question. If Hillary Clinton becomes our next president, and of course she has that experience as the Secretary of State, does our foreign policy change at all? Has she learned anything during this Obama presidency about the United States' role in the world and how force can create peace? Just ask Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, well, yes and no. I think her instincts are a little bit more muscular than Obama's, because anybody's would be. But I think her long-term view of the world isn't a whole lot different from President Obama. I mean, she, over the years, well, I mean, she voted for the war in Iraq. She voted for the strike against Syrian chemical facilities in 2013. So there's more, you know, there's more stiffness in her spine. But I think over the long term, I think her foreign policy, her national security policy, will be essentially that of this administration.
Very quickly, General, so a Donald Trump presidency, we know he's stronger, but does he have the, can he be stable? I'm trying to find a nice way of putting this. Can he handle it diplomatically while being strong?
I don't know. Those military people who I talk to, who are my good friends, who are close to Donald Trump, say that the media really doesn't get it right, that Donald Trump is far more level-headed when it comes to national security than he's portrayed in the media, and that he has a very, very specific long-range view of where he wants to take the American military, beginning first, Ashley, by putting some money in the national defense and rebuilding our military infrastructure, how he treats emerging threats in the future, it's hard to say.
It certainly is. General Bob Scales, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.